All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is Poli Mascara with another video on what's going on in this country. Things are going crazy. Light wind blows and Biden tumbles. Don't go away. We're going to talk a little bit about what's going on in this country with our new president and everything else. This Poli Mascara coming to you straight from the third rope with an elbow smash of truth and opinion on this nation that we have. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Biden falls. Oh my God. I freaked out when I saw this guy tumbling on the stairway when he was going up to Air Force One. And the crazy thing about it is, nobody ran up the stairway. What would have happened if the President of the United States, the leader of the free world, would have tumbled down the stairs? The President of the United States is 78 years old. I might not agree with his policies, but I do believe that if he would have got hurt, we would probably be worried. Half of the nation or more would probably be looking into what's going on and what happened. And you know who will take over. So please, next time something happens like that, there should be somebody to take care of them. The folks that were there, the military folks, they had their backs to him. And Biden, when he started going up, he misstepped and tumbled. Not once, but 3 times. That's crazy. And I know there was somebody looking at him. He just stood there. He kind of moved forward, but he just stood there. And you know what happens? Biden wants to show that he has stamina. So he's kind of like strutting up the stairway, and he misstepped. Hey, all of us have done that. We have misstepped. And then his people want to say that it was a light wind. Ladies and gentlemen, if the President of the United States stumbles over because a light wind blew him, I mean, can you imagine what else? A heavy wind? A hurricane blowing him off the surface of the earth? Come on, ladies and gentlemen. We have to question what's going on here. And then when he gets upstairs, he kind of struts again. I mean, it's very scary what's going on. Nobody helped the President of the United States. Please, I ask all those around him, watch over the President of the United States. I might like I said, I might not like his policies, but he's still the President of the United States. He should be taken care of. He has to make decisions for this country. All right, so talking about that, President Biden, I'm not a doctor, but President Biden has to have an issue going up here. The other day, he called Vice President Harris President. President. Freudian slip? Who knows? Think about that. I don't know. It just doesn't seem to be right. He can't seem to remember anything. The President of the United States continues to walk around with a cheat sheet in his pocket. If you're President of the United States, you should remember information from the prior day. In my last video, I told you guys that he couldn't remember the Secretary of Defense name. How can the President of the United States function that way? He can't remember his cabinet members. And then he said, that place over there, that guy runs that place over there. The Pentagon in the United States, the place where military policy is created, where the Chief of Staff of the United States work, where military strategy and plans are created, that 5-sided area called the Pentagon in Crystal City, Virginia. He can't remember that. He's been in the government for 35 years. Any individual should remember the name of the building What's going on? The next thing that he hasn't done is had a solo press conference. Now they're saying for almost the end of the month of March, he's going to have one. But there's been a report going around that his people wanted reporters to submit their questions prior to a conference. I remember last year when he would have press conference when he was running against the other guy, he would only call on certain people. And then he won't ask any questions to the other reporters in the room. His people shoot the president away and then tell the reporters that they're finished, they have to leave. And if President Biden does answer questions, they're very succinct and to the point, but they don't make any sense. I don't know how this guy is going to deal with it. He still hasn't had a joint session of Congress or State of the Union. Now, State of the Union, normally you should do it after a year you're in office. That I would agree, because then you can talk about the accomplishments and what are you planning for. But he should have one to at least explain the goals that his administration wants to establish and reach for the American people. Yet, he still hasn't had anything to say to reporters. And they continue to block access to immigrants in the border. What are they trying to hide? They recently said that there was no crisis. We all know there is a crisis at the border, all the way from Brownsville, Texas, to San Diego, California, all across the borders. You have sheriff's departments complaining. You have ranchers complaining. You got drugs coming through open parts of the border wall. You have people just walking through like nothing. I just don't know where we're going with this. We still got a long way to go. I suspect that President Biden won't last a year in office. If he lasts that long, he'll either resign for medical reasons or he will be declared incompetent. And the 25th Amendment will be declared. And they'll shoo him away. Send him home back to Delaware. And people around the world, leaders around the world, beginning to notice this. In a recent interview he said that, and he agreed that Putin is a killer. Now, yeah, we all know the Russian government has done some things that are questionable and criminal. But when Putin called him on the carpet and said, let's have a live debate and discussion, he basically declined. We all know why. And talking about other leaders, this past week in Alaska, the Chinese delegates that came to have discussions with American officials, the Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, was chastised and admonished because the Secretary of State brought up to the Chinese official the human rights violations that's being carried out in China against the folks of Hong Kong, against their belligerent acts of flying over Taiwan with military aircraft, and the violation of the minority of Uyghur. And if you don't know what Uyghurs are, they're Chinese Muslims out on the west part of China. Many of them have been put into re-education camps, forced to produce products, basically slavery. Uyghur women have been forced to have abortions. And the Chinese representative named Yang Yishi, I think that's how you pronounce it, he basically told the Secretary of State, Blinken, to stay out of their business. In other words, who the hell are you when you have so many problems in the United States? And from what I read, the Secretary of State basically said, yeah, we got problems, but we're working on them. You know what I would have said? I said, yeah, we recognize the United States have problems like a bunch of countries around the world. We recognize our sin, and we're trying to fix them. But the Chinese government, the Chinese Communist Party, the CCP, backed up by the People's Liberation Army and military, they won't accept what they have done. And talking about that, if the Biden administration continues on this path, we're trying to be nice, I think the Chinese are going to invade Taiwan in the near future because they'll see the United States as being weak and don't want to get involved. We have lost so much power in the Pacific that the Chinese don't care. They're doing what they want. They know the Philippines and Taiwan and Indonesia and Malaysia and Vietnam can't stand up to them. The Vietnamese in the past sent 3 warships and they all got destroyed by the Chinese Navy. So do you think these other small countries are going to stand up to the Chinese government? The Philippine government sued several years ago the Chinese for taking over islands in their territory that they declared that belonged to the Philippine people, the Spratly Islands. The World Court said, yeah, they are your islands. They can't extend beyond the territory, and yet they are extended. And you know what the Chinese did? Nothing. They know the World Court has no power. There's no other military or country that's strong to stand up to the Chinese. The only 2 countries I think that have any kind of chance will be Japan, and Japan can't have any offensive forces. After World War II, they declared their forces as defense. They can't declare war on anybody. They can't go to war with anyone. The only way they can have military actions carried out by their military in Japan is if they get attacked. South Korea is dealing with their buddies up in North Korea. And talking about North Korea, the North Korean government doesn't want to deal with Biden. They don't want to deal with him. Now, we can all say that Trump was working with a dictator, but back in the 90s, Bill Clinton, Slick Willie, agreed to give him some kind of funding and even helped them, from what I remember, develop one of the nuclear plants because they said it was for electricity, and we all know that's not the truth. The Democrats think if I work with them, they'll follow through and they'll be nice. The Iranians see the new administration as being weak too. Just came out this week, they're building another plant and weapons plant based on their nuclear program. I might be wrong, but if I remember reading real quick the report, that they're continuing with their nuclear program. Damn if you do and damn if you don't. The millions and millions of dollars that President Obama sent didn't stop them, emboldened them. So here we are, folks. We are going towards that abyss of no return. We are going to continue on a path of self-destruction. The enemies of the United States are just sitting back and letting us fall apart. How can a nation as the United States, with all its faults and all its problems, but still a good country to live in and be part of and be proud of, is falling apart this fast? I think it's a punishment. I think it's a punishment for everything wrong we have done in this country, especially against the innocent and the poor. Some people are saying we deserve what we get. It doesn't matter. I'm talking to you who's watching this. It doesn't matter if you're Republican, conservative, libertarian, independent, or Democrat. If you believe in the U.S. Constitution and the law and doing the right thing, don't let these people get away with it. We will not have a country as we know it. We are getting slammed all over the mat. We are getting clotheslined. We are being smashed into submission. And it's ridiculous. This country, this nation that has the Bill of Rights, before they agreed to the Constitution and given so much power to the federal government, they insisted on pulling the Bill of Rights for you, for your family, to give you the right to say things, even if people think you're wrong, to give you the right to defend yourself, to give you the right to believe and practice or not practice and the religion that you want. If this country was so bad, like the Democrats want to paint it, if there is systematic racism in this country, why would so many people from around the world come here? They have come here because the United States has always shown to the world that as long as you work hard, as long as you follow the rules, as long as you contribute to the success of this country, you will be successful, because there is something called the Constitution of the United States. Please don't allow these people to screw this country, because we are getting screwed. If you like my videos, my opinion, or you want to keep following me, please subscribe. Please hit like. And if you don't, that's okay. You know why? Because I believe in your right to disagree with me. This Polymascara, giving you opinions, giving you my take on what's going on in this country. I want you to be an American, and it doesn't matter what party you belong to. What matters is doing the right thing. Hasta la vista, baby.